Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be a bot I've cast a lot of lately, partly because we didn't get to cast it for so long. And man, look at that probe doing a little twirl. Is he going to do it again? No, just the once. Yeah, so it's negativeZero, the Protoss bot, getting reactivated on the ladder. However, I thought it would actually be a good match to watch it take on MicroMachine, as both of these bots haven't been updated in quite a few years. So we're just going to see how they do against each other. That's all I have to say about that. As, yeah, they both just are updated to be active on the ladder. And I believe that's about it. So we're going to see how well MicroMachine can do against negativeZero. negativeZero is quite the killer lately. And MicroMachine says I've won 7% of our encounters. So maybe not the best win rate against negativeZero. It's not a 0% win rate. I'd probably just close out the replay if that was the case. But there's always a chance. Maps change things, a bit of RNG changes things. And so, ladies and gentlemen, before we get any further into this match, make sure to go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. If we can get, let's go for 44 likes on this video, that would be amazing. Also, leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot matches. I certainly enjoy casting them. And then, yeah, subscribe and click the bell icon if you haven't already. You might just watch these replays through your recommended feed or whatever, but go ahead and click that button. Now we've got the first Reaper for MicroMachine coming on in, as it's a bit of a cheeky proxy by the Terran bot. Coming on in, gonna set to work trying to kill some probes, as it's just softening some of these up. We do have Stalkers on the way for negativeZero, as it's going for its very strong 3-gate build. Lots of lost mining time right now by this Reaper, forcing probes off the line, maybe messing with the speed mining a little bit, but there's the Stalker, gonna chase this Reaper away. Now MicroMachine has got some very good Reaper control, but the Stalker is on it. Will it actually get a probe? There's the first probe being killed. A lot are bruised, but only one perishing so far. Another probe coming on in. The grenade gets tossed on down. And behind this, MicroMachine is throwing up a factory. Well, it's already got the factory done, a tech lab, and building a cyclone with a starport going up back at home. And this is going to be a bit of a tricky build for the Terran to pull off. It may be why negativeZero has the odds in its favor. Is a strong 3-gate opening like negativeZero does is a very good counter to this kind of thing. At the same time, a second Reaper comes on in for MicroMachine, which I love, tosses down a grenade, looks to deny a little bit more mining time. I'm not sure whether this is actually slowing negativeZero down too much yet. It's very cool to see. Cyclone gets a lock-on onto the battery as the Rax comes on in. However, a bit of a micro mishap from the Cyclone as it just gets picked off right away. We've got a siege tank on the way behind this for MicroMachine, and these Reapers are really pulling these Stalkers all over the place. One of the other Reapers did perish, unfortunately, and negativeZero is just doing its thing. MicroMachine has got a tank coming out behind this. Looks like the siege tank is actually going to go home, so maybe MicroMachine has some kind of check or something to say, hey, there's too many enemy units, or simply maybe that, like, losing the Cyclone, it says, send that tank home. Maybe it just sends the tank home regardless. Anyway, things aren't looking too bad for MicroMachine, as we've got, I mean, a worker lead setting up to get a natural command center, floating quite a bit of money right now, as the Terran bot is going into Siege Tank and Banshee. Now, negativeZero is investing into a robo, so there will be detection coming out, which is going to be very important, as otherwise I'd say things are looking fantastic for MicroMachine. So we'll see whether it's going to be a Prism or an Observer right away for negativeZero, then how well it's going to potentially defend against Banshee harassment, which is getting lined up right now. Meanwhile, MicroMachine is producing more Siege Tanks. Siege Tanks are good against Stalkers. For those of you that are new to StarCraft 2, or new to StarCraft 2, there's no Stalkers in StarCraft 1, unless you're playing the SC Evo mod. Now, we do have an Immortal on the way for negativeZero, so far no Observer yet. And the Banshee is coming in for MicroMachine, as this Rax is just doing the twirl, as it's now going to get shot at by the Stalkers. negativeZero is possibly going to be moving in for an attack. We shall see, as looks like it may find that factory as well, which is going to be a good find as a tank is just popping out. So the Rax is kind of a traitor, allowing that to be picked off. The Rax is also going to get burned down, which means as far as production goes, MicroMachine just has a starport and one factory on the other side of the map. So we're going to have to pay attention to how much money it's floating. Where are the Banshees? There's one coming on in. The other one, it burned all its cloak energy. I'm not sure what happened there with it, as this one's going in with plenty of energy in its energy and still not getting anything done. So the Stalker presence for negativeZero, enough to scare MicroMachine off, which is quite unfortunate because Banshee harassment could have been MicroMachine's way to get a nice lead in this match. The Terran bot still isn't in the worst position in the world. I am a little concerned at the lack of production and the overall army size right now. We do have 2 siege tanks out, which is definitely going to help out against the Stalkers, although negativeZero is just a killer with its army. It dives really quick, dives real deep, so a couple of simple tanks may not be enough to dissuade it from going in and potentially just murdering its opponent, so we'll have to keep eyes on that. The Banshees for MicroMachine, there's now presently 3 out. However, none of them are going on in to actually harass. They all sort of flew out on the map, but then none of them made the trip. Do we have an observer crossing the map to join up with this army? Yes, we do. 2 observers for negativeZero. MicroMachine has got 2 more CCs building at a time. The Cloak Banshees are going to help push this away for now until the observers show up, and they are actually going to get some nice work. Good target firing on the Banshees. There's observers coming on in, though, so their reign of terror may end, and they're going to want to try and avoid those observers. They're skirmishing with the Stalkers, so far buying a good bit of time for MicroMachine. MicroMachine now has some Marine and Marauder production up, so at least a little bit of a buffer, as the Banshees did all get out as well. Some of the Stalkers are pinned in a corner as the observers are not present. There's one there, so they're all over the place, but it is hard to hunt down the Banshees when there is just Banshees all over the place. You can't have the observers everywhere. One tank does get picked off. There is the 3rd command center done for MicroMachine, so it does have good economic potential as long as it doesn't lose too many workers. Meanwhile, Banshees are engaging the Stalkers. MicroMachine is trying to make a hold as the natural base is under pressure. The Stalker count has been reduced by the Banshees. 9 killed in total is no small amount, and an observer is out of position for negativeZero, as the Banshees also have speed, so they're going to be able to micro around a little bit more. That 3rd base is also being saved by another Banshee. Tons of energy on this one. It's just a mess, though, as observers are coming in, but then maybe there's not enough Stalkers grouped up. The Banshees can just fly around all over the place as MicroMachine, pardon me, is trying to keep its economy going, and so far, the blue Terran bot is able to hold on and weather the storm of negativeZero. The Banshee play definitely helped it out, although it looks like MicroMachine is going to be going for a counterattack. I'm not sure how successful that will be, but we shall see. As I mean, it is presently 4 Banshees out, a little bit of bio and a tank on the ground against only 6 Stalkers. I mean, 6 Stalkers is still more than enough to kill 4 Banshees if it's a head-on engagement, so MicroMachine is going to get pushed back a little bit, it seems. The Terran bot is getting its economy back online. Meanwhile, negativeZero is trying to secure up its own 3rd base. So MicroMachine does have more bases right now, down on workers by a little bit, but the extra mules will help out there. And as far as production goes, MicroMachine is making its usual ragtag group of units. negativeZero seems to be going into a more focused composition with a Twilight Council on the way, so I assume we'll see more Blink Stalkers. Well, see Blink Stalkers and more Stalkers. MicroMachine is a very aggressive bot, though, so it's looking to move out once and once more, as it's going to be pushing in towards the 3rd, although it may just retreat. For now, poking in and retreating is probably fine. I'm concerned once Blink is out there, MicroMachine sees the Warp Prism and says, what air units have not ready? Then immediately does retreat. We do have one of these Banshees just juking around the Stalkers, getting a couple of probe kills. Very nicely done. The speed on them with the independent control of the bot just makes it so difficult to actually kill these things. They're all alive, and it's not like there's a player that's just gonna forget about the Banshee and not micro them. Meanwhile, MicroMachine is dropping mules, getting up more production tanks, lots of bio building, as negativeZero is trying to catch that Banshee. No blink has been started yet. There is +1 ship weapons as well for the Banshees, which is good. negativeZero is still on 3 bases. It's built up another rather large army of Stalkers. There's no blink on them, though, which is very, very significant when it comes to the Micro against this. Meanwhile, MicroMachine is building 2 tanks at a time, which could very well help it out. negativeZero, though, is not just going to sit back and get out macroed. It's going for a 4th base, which I definitely like. Meanwhile, MicroMachine trying to build something out on the map. That's not going to have success. Banshee's taking some damage. A scan goes down to try and kill the Observer. There's even a Raven there as well, which will reveal the OBS. And if the OBS die, that's going to be very good for MicroMachine. It actually targets down the Observers, so the Cloaked Banshees can potentially push further, although negativeZero, having a lot of redundancy, still has 2 more Observers out, but the positioning on them matters as well. And so MicroMachine is pushing out, maintaining a supply lead. And then we do have a Viking on the way, more SCVs being produced. Meanwhile, negativeZero is trying to go onto Colossus, getting a Stargate. That could be a bit of a problem for MicroMachine if negativeZero, say, gets out a decent chunk of Colossus or even techs into air. Stalkers for now are trying to hold the line for negativeZero. MicroMachine wanted to attack, but then got pushed away, seeing how much supply there was. As it puts in chat, you sort of see the supply math there. I mean, those numbers aren't indicative, but it's just what MicroMachine sees and what it's attacking with. And now we do have MicroMachine pushing out once again. We'll see if it changes its mind once again. There's an Oracle on the way for negativeZero, getting up a Fleet Beacon, potentially to help reveal for Tempest. MicroMachine is coming on in, though. Banshee's denying mining at the 3rd is definitely a big hit to the economy of negativeZero. MicroMachine once again says, nope, can't do that, and retreats. Stalkers as well, blinking underneath a Viking and killing it off as MicroMachine tries to hunt the Observers. The Terran bot is going for a 4th base. We've got pretty much just more of the same ragtag units being made for MicroMachine. No combat shield on the Marines, nothing like that. Just Vikings, tanks, a 4th command center on the way as negativeZero commits to its own 5th base. And the game has sort of calmed down a little bit. We've fallen into this cycle of MicroMachine attacking on in, and then seeing how much Protoss there is and retreating. Will the tanks siege up and potentially get some good shots off? So far, they are sieged up. Vikings in the skies as well, helping zone out Observers and try to shoot down that Oracle. They do shoot down the Oracle, although the Bio is stepping forward away from the tank support for the most part. Still, though, there's so many Marauders on the ground for MicroMachine. negativeZero has to micro its heart out, and it's going to potentially do a good job of that, although the tank line is so deep for the Terran that MicroMachine cannot fight within the range of all those tanks, or negativeZero cannot. MicroMachine is actually not fighting within the range of the tanks, which is leaving its bio rather vulnerable. The tanks are slowly inching forward, although most of the buffer for them is gone. That could give negativeZero a chance to pounce on top of this, but the tank threat is so real for MicroMachine. They all unsiege. Is it going to move forward? Unsieging all the tanks at once is not the move, MicroMachine. That's going to allow negativeZero to pounce on top of this, and we do see it doing exactly that as the units get on top of the tanks, knowing they can't shoot when they're sitting on top of them. There's even a Tempest out as MicroMachine is still trying to push on in as it thinks it knows it's got more supply than its opponent. But it says, hey, I see you've made a Tempest, which negativeZero has done. That Tempest can help clean up the tanks. There's another Colossus on the way. We have MicroMachine adding in battle cruisers to its army now, which could definitely help out. Although against Tempest, success may be limited. MicroMachine is also a little bit notorious for not getting upgrades for its units. It just tends to get a very odd number of upgrades, like never more than +1 on any one thing, it seems. So we are seeing armor, which will help out a little bit, but no attack on the bio just yet. There is a few Vikings flying forward, which could help deal with the Tempest. Supply is still very much in favor for MicroMachine. negativeZero's Stalkers are constantly microing all over the place. We see battery overcharge getting popped, keeping some of these units alive. And MicroMachine definitely doesn't have all its supply with this force right now, which is allowing negativeZero to clean this up for the most part. There's only 1 tank on the front lines right now. We've also got MicroMachine seemingly abandoning the tank production. as it goes into Thors, Vikings, battle cruisers. And so basically going for units that can shoot up. The Thor will definitely be a good addition against the Tempest, and Vikings are constantly skirmishing. A battle cruiser is now present, although no Yamato cannon on it. So it's potentially just going to get picked off by the Tempest, the count of which is growing as the second one is about to pop out. And seeing as how negativeZero has so few units, that's actually quite a big increase to its army. We've also got double Immortal production. That's really going to help out against the Thors. And so MicroMachine is actually going home for now. It wants to go back in again, though, as it just keeps trying and trying. negativeZero is doing a great job holding on. There is more Banshees being produced to potentially harass later on and round out the composition. MicroMachine is choosing a different attack path this time as well, as it goes below these mineral patches at the 5th base, although no tanks sieging up or anything like that. negativeZero has held on. It's been building up a far superior composition. The Tempests really are problematic for MicroMachine to try and deal with. The Terran bot is on 5 bases, though, making 5 Vikings at a time, which is no joke. The Tempest and Colossus could really be in trouble. Then it'll be up to the units on the ground, which I think is kind of in MicroMachine's favor. The one thing negativeZero really has going for it is the upgrades. It's going to have +2 attack on the ground units, which will really help out. The Colossus having +2 attack, able to cut through some of these Marines. Vikings for MicroMachine are moving forward, shooting down the Tempest, going to get the Colossus as well. Meanwhile, Banshees are moving forward on the Stalkers. Observers keep getting picked off. 5 in total have died this game. That's giving the Banshees free reign until a great revelation by that Oracle solves that problem. We've also got a battle cruiser fighting on the front lines. Supply is fairly stable for both of these bots, though, but as far as the air units go, they're in quite a bit of trouble for negativeZero. That's a lot of Phoenix out, though. So maybe negativeZero has more of a chance in the skies than I thought, although it is 11 Vikings to 4 Phoenix, and Vikings definitely do beat Phoenix in any significant number. We've got MicroMachine re-sieging its tanks at its 6th base location that it's just getting up, as an Oracle drops a revelation once more. MicroMachine wants to move on in. The Terran bot is maxed out. negativeZero has got a ways to go, although it's done a great job surviving throughout this game. We have Marauders trying to stim on top of a Colossus, a Viking coming forward. Will it finish it off? Yes, it does. We've got armor on the way, combat shield on the way for MicroMachine, so getting its limited upgrades that it tends to get. Stalkers are blinking all over the place for negativeZero, although maybe not the best efficiency for the Protoss bot, as resources lost is 22,000 to 18,000. And yeah, I'm really glad to say that although MicroMachine has got only 7% odds of winning this match, maybe this one is an outlier in that it could potentially still win this, although as negativeZero gets closer and closer to maxing out, maybe things will turn for the worse, particularly if upgrades keep rolling. And MicroMachine does take some losses there, losing a Thor on the battlefield. Bio stimming forward into Stalkers, definitely not grouped up enough. Lots of supply for MicroMachine is also caught up in these Vikings, which is not helping against these Thors, or against these Immortals and Stalkers, as this one Thor moves forward trying to be a hero, will almost kill off an Immortal, but then goes down. And so the trades for MicroMachine are not the best anymore. I was talking about how it had good trades, and now all of a sudden negativeZero is pushing on in, and MicroMachine is in quite a bit of trouble, as it seems to have lost its footing, and the Protoss bot is pushing on in. There's plenty of Vikings in the sky. Stalkers are doing a great job zoning them away, so the Tempests are getting shots off, and there's simply not enough on the ground for MicroMachine to contend against these Stalkers. There's 4 tanks out, however they are not really in position, as Tempests are going to get on top of them, and Immortal as well. That is a big loss for MicroMachine, as not having tanks in its army right now is really costing it. There's a few Marauders moving forward, trying to do what they can. The Stalkers are doing a phenomenal job for negativeZero, and I think I may have caster cursed MicroMachine, as it's just plummeting in supply, as negativeZero really starts to turn this one around. And yeah, having another base getting up, the Protoss bot almost maxed out, MicroMachine plummeting in supply, the death of the Terran bot really coming into effect as the trades really started improving for negativeZero. I'm not sure what it was that made things get so much better. Maybe just the overproduction of Vikings for MicroMachine. Like, I think it might not have had enough on the ground potentially, And then the Stalkers and negativeZero were kind of just able to snowball, doing a beautiful job, also zoning out the Vikings. So they not also weren't that, or they not also were maybe too high in numbers, but they also weren't very effective. And so negativeZero is going to take this one. I totally caster cursed MicroMachine, but it does go to show that even though negativeZero does win the majority of their games, MicroMachine plays a darn close game, and it's not just like some complete bop or anything like that. Like, negativeZero was on the back foot for so long in the match, but then was able to persevere with its incredible army control, and I think is the best feature of negativeZero. As yeah, the Protoss bot pushes on in to clean everything up. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this epic match, make sure to click that like button. What was the goal? 44 likes or something on this video? And then leave a comment down below saying more bots, more bagels, whatever it may be. That helps with the YouTube algorithm, and it's appreciated, everyone that does that. Also, subscribe if you watch to the end of the video and you're not subscribed, as we watch that turret kill off an unlucky observer. Or maybe not the smartest observer. And then, yeah, if you do want to support the channel, consider becoming a YouTube member. And you can also check out my other channel. Not that I'm posting tons on there, but it is something that I may build more of in the future. Just general games, as this channel has pretty much become the bot channel for the most part. negativeZero going through the motions of cleaning everything up at this point. MicroMachine does not have a lot left, and is just gonna have everything get killed off. Starport flying around. MicroMachine very dead, with one refinery left. A very great turnaround by negativeZero, though. GG.